Hub on Hollywood. I'm James.
And I'm Jamie.
And we love movies. Okay, so clearly, Jamie, you are not in studio with us right now, but you are with us via Skype.
That's right. Via this very fancy schmancy Skype. I'm at home. If you guys watched our last episode, you know that it was my last episode before a very exciting event.
Yeah.
I've been pregnant for a long time, and I'm finally not pregnant.
You had the baby. Are you gonna toss the baby into frame?
If she is, hang on one second.
Okay, well, as Jamie is out of frame, thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode. On this episode, we will be talking about local casting calls. A lot of casting calls for this week in New England. We're gonna hop on that, and also, if you may notice, behind Jamie, we have the Hub on Hollywood Oscars edition. So we will be talking about our best, our guesses, our hopes for Best Picture and everything. But stop my talking. Look at Jamie. She is holding beautiful Desiree.
This is Desiree.
Oh, look at
Hi,
that.
Desiree. She is
so
out
tiny.
of it. But Desiree is 1 week old. Nicknames are Desi and Ray Ray. So, you got to get a little bit of the Star Wars in there. Yeah, and she's going to help us with our Oscars predictions today, maybe? No?
And you told me that she has a Baby Yoda costume already?
Yes, she has a Baby Yoda costume already. She's not quite big enough for it just yet. She's born 5 pounds, 12 ounces.
She doesn't have to be 50.
We gotta fatten her up a little bit.
Yeah,
So
right?
that's my job now, from journalist to milk factory. We're getting there. We're getting there. There's plenty of Yoda toys though. So.
Plenty of Yoda toys, yeah. But I think this will work. You're gonna be out of studio for a bit, but. Yeah, I think this will work.
Sounds good. All right, and now she's going to make her magical exit, because every leading lady needs to make a very amazing exit. Woo!
Up on the shelf.
And she's gone. How did it happen? I don't know.
She's so cute.
All right, so James, we're starting off with, like you said, a few local casting calls. We've got a number of things that are coming to our area, including, as we've been talking about, a Disney film that is going to be filming here. We're not quite sure what it's called just yet, but you were telling us
it's going to be a sequel to Cinderella, yeah, in Malden.
In Malden and other locations around New England. And so Boston Casting has been very busy. They've been putting out feelers for actors or background people for something called Frills. And they are looking to shoot at the end of January and beginning of February. They are looking for a number of different people for different roles. Honestly, there's like 5 different out there. Sorry. There's 5 different postings out there for frills for various things. I'm sorry.
Hey, speaking about extra work really quick, I just saw Little Women yesterday, and I was like, hey, that's here, filmed in Concord, and trying to find you at the beach scene. You were in that beach scene, right?
I was in the background in a big blue bell dress.
In a big yes, I didn't know the color. I would have kept
the beginning of the film where the 2 sisters are on the beach together.
Yeah.
And I'm walking in the background in a big blue dress.
That scene actually comes out. They had a good I don't know. I feel like they had a lot of shots from the beach, like throughout the movie, sprinkled out throughout the movie.
Yeah, there really were. And like I said last time, it's a lot of fun, but it's not fun running around in those 1800s gowns and authentic shoes in the sand for hours on end.
And it was freezing too, right?
What's that?
It was freezing too, right?
It was pretty cold, but with wearing 10 layers of clothing, it was fine.
Yeah,
I wasn't cold.
I was watching Saoirse Ronan and her sister in the scene, and you can, I don't know, I'm not sure if it was trying to paint it as a nice warm day on the beach, but just watching the wind whip them and their shirts just flapping in the wind, I'm thinking, man, those they're very good actors to stay in that mode or in that zone, even with the wind whipping around.
Yeah. It really was, and that's why they're great actors, and that's why they are nominated for Oscars.
Yeah.
James Rojas. So Boston Casting also looking for Latino actors and actresses in our
Latino,
area,
you say?
specifically men and women 30 to 50 years old, and boys who are 12. Very specific. For shooting between February 8th and March 30th in the Boston area. Paid opportunity, that's through Boston Casting. Through CP Casting, they are looking for, very interesting, you know how New Hampshire is kind of the epicenter of the beginning of our political process for the 2020 elections.
Yeah.
They're looking for stand-ins for the debates that are going to be held in New Hampshire next month. And they're looking for stand-ins for all of the political candidates. So,
See,
James,
if Julian Castro was still in the race, I could probably go, I could probably be him.
yeah.
I don't see myself filling in Bernie Sanders' shoes.
I was trying to see who I might be, but apparently I'm way too short. Cecilia Vega, the journalist, I think is the closest to my height at 5'4". Tulsi Gabbard, maybe. We'll see. But that's an interesting opportunity, and that's through CP Casting. Yeah, tremendous amount of opportunities that are coming. Sign up for Boston Casting, CP. There's a number of other ones. Check them out. Plenty to do.
Very nice.
To get yourself on stage or make a little extra cash and see how some cool and interesting things are done.
Now, you're on leave, right, when it comes to doing any extra work for a little bit?
For a little bit, yeah, for a little bit.
But if little Desiree wants to get into the acting biz, you're not opposed to it?
I'm not opposed to it, but I'll maybe let her get a week older.
Is Daddy okay with it?
Get a little bit of experience with the world, maybe start seeing color, and then we'll go for it. We'll go for it.
No, but I bet if you throw in some headshots.
Yes.
Just go quick.
Throwing some adorable headshots. Yeah. As she opens her eyes for a little bit longer at a time. Right now, she opens her eyes for about 10 minutes at a time. So.
Like I would like to. I'm just sleeping like how I want to.
Yes, the napping is strong.
Nice.
Napping is strong with this one. All right, and so James, Oscars.
Yeah, big Oscar season. Now, to be fair, I haven't seen all the movies out there, and also to be fair, it's impossible to see every movie that is out there. Like,
it really is. It's tough.
We'll talk about the process of how the movies are picked maybe later, but I feel like there should be like a shakeup in how movies are selected to be up for an award or two, because again, a lot of these movies, I don't know, the normal person, normal voter, I don't think they have the time to watch everything.
No, so you are a member of SAG-AFTRA.
Yeah.
As am I. So we get a bunch of mailers, which are just the DVDs and things like that of every movie that have been nominated, or you get like the access code or whatever. And
or even like TV shows too.
It's such a tremendous amount. Which you're not allowed to share, by the way. It's such a tremendous amount. It's like, how do you get through all of it?
Yeah, and not only that, but for example, for those who vote on the Oscars, like for the main categories are best picture, best director, best actor, but there are so many subcategories and best wardrobe or best cinematography, and there's so many like obscure movies or short films that are out there that have been nominated. I doubt every voter. I mean, at a certain point, it becomes like a popularity contest of like, oh, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, that was a very popular, fun one, and I'm sure maybe The Two Popes I haven't seen The Two Popes, but it may be better than Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but the voters or the judges have only seen the more popular one. So, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Star Wars always gets nominated for best audio and things like that, but they never break into like a main category. Some of the bigger box office ones. It's always the more artsy ones that kind of get the big noms. And every now and then there's an amazing actor in a big box office film and who I feel like deserves credit. You know what I mean? I don't think that they're going to get credit. And then, there's always they're always talking about that there's not a lot of diversity in who gets nominated and things like that. But we're not here to talk about politics, James.
No,
We're
no, no,
just here
but
to talk about who gets a big shiny trophy.
exactly, and honestly, I've heard the same comments, people of who was snubbed this year. But to be honest, 2019 was a great year for movies, and
Yeah.
so like looking at the list, yeah, there are other great movies I have seen, but I'm not disappointed with most of what's been nominated already because again, there's so many great things. You do have to cut it off at certain points. Do you want to just lead with Best Picture? Because I have yeah.
Let's go for it. So I've got the list in front of me for Best Picture. We've got Ford versus Ferrari with Matt Damon, Christian Bale, Matt Damon, local boy.
Yep.
We've got The Irishman, a 3+ hour epic on Netflix.
Which I will watch soon. I haven't seen it, so I have to admit
But
that.
the services, just the streaming services becoming mainstream contenders across the board, which is amazing just in the last few years. Jojo Rabbit, one of my personal favorites, nominated. We've got The Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. We've got Little Women, which we were talking about a little bit there. We've got Marriage Story with Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson, also on Netflix. 1917, something
Yes.
you also saw. We'll chat about a little bit. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it's all doing very well in all of the other award shows so far. And Parasite.
Yeah.
And James, do you know if there's any limit to the number of movies that are nominated? Because it seems like 9 is a lot.
Yeah, well, I believe this changed just recently because I think maybe 2 years ago or maybe even a year ago, there was one year where, and it's escaping me, but one year that a movie, almost everyone kind of agreed it should have been at least nominated for Best Picture wasn't. Oh, I think it was, The Dark Knight. I want to say maybe it was The Dark Knight, but that's when people started really talking about how that movie should have been nominated, but there weren't any more spots left. And so that's when the number was being pushed from 6 nominations to 9 nominations. And it does make it a lot harder to pick which one, but at least it allows more movies that deserve to also be considered up there to be involved. And so I don't mind the seemingly large list of Best Picture nominees. But for yourself, this was really tough. I saw 1917 2 days ago, and I was blown away. So I was leaning a lot towards 1917, maybe because it was still fresh in my head, but it was beautifully directed. The actors were amazing, and there really wasn't much that I could critique it on. However, for Best Picture, another one I saw fairly recently, I'm going to have to go with Jojo Rabbit. I loved that film, and so I'm voting Jojo Rabbit for Best Picture.
Oh, well, you stole mine.
Oh, no.
No, very similar. So I've seen a number of these guys, but none of them strike me as completely original as Jojo Rabbit is. It's like, yes, The Irishman, it's incredible. You've got Joe Pesci, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro all together in this crime epic, but when do you not have those guys in a crime epic? You know what I mean?
I mean, maybe not all together, but yeah, they're sprinkled around their own movies. Yeah, so
exactly. And then you've got Joker, which this is like the 4th or 5th iteration of Joker, and no one is going to beat. Oh my God, what's
Heath
his name?
Ledger. Heath Ledger. How dare you?
Heath Ledger. No one's going to beat Heath Ledger for me. I'm sorry, Heath. But credit to his memory, no one is going to beat Heath Ledger for me.
Yeah.
And it's a story that's been told so many times. Little Women, it looks incredible. I haven't been able to see the whole thing.
I did see it yesterday. And honestly, I did. I was debating for a while for Best Picture, and again, maybe just because I had just seen it yesterday. But Little Women, it's Greta Gerwig. She's amazing, and I understand the anger or the backlash over her snub of not being nominated for Best Director because it really is a beautiful movie, and you can, I don't know, the Greta Gerwig, from the interviews I've watched online from the cast, she has a special touch to her, and that film, you could tell everybody was very comfortable with each other. They felt just like real sisters, and so I thought that movie was put together really well by Greta Gerwig. And so I was debating that for a bit too, but yeah, at the end of the day, I think Jojo Rabbit, for originality and the acting and the script, was beautiful. Joker, I mean, it's really hard to compare, even though they are the same character, Joker. Comparing Joaquin Phoenix's portrayal to Heath Ledger, you just had to give Joker kudos for being the first comic book movie to be nominated for Best Picture.
It's true. That is true.
So
We were
that
just
may
talking
make
about that
up,
a little bit, and yeah.
Yeah, that may make up for The Dark Knight not being nominated per se, but I don't know if that would. But yeah, Joaquin Phoenix and that Joker movie too. Great acting, it was really great also. So this was very tough, but at the end of the day, I felt more emotion. I was personally touched more with Jojo Rabbit, even though 1917 was right there, right close.
Yeah, I mean, Taika Waititi, and we don't get original stories anymore. That's the point of what I was trying to say, and this is all original, and it's zany, it's a little bit insane,
And
but
moving and
brings
touching.
you back. I love, I've said this before, I love movies where you see the world through the eyes of a child. And so, a kid doesn't know what's going on around him. This a little boy growing up in Nazi Germany, and he's just trying to survive, and he creates an imaginary friend to get him through, and then the end is just a gut punch. All of it is just a gut punch that somehow leaves you feeling happy and hopeful. Not necessarily happy, but at least hopeful. But
Yeah.
so yeah, that would definitely be my pick for range and originality, and I just love Taika. I just love Taika. What did you think of Marriage Story?
Marriage Story Marriage Story had great acting. The story itself, the plot was very good. I thought it was also pretty original. I mean, we've gone through movies before, like The Story of Us and other movies where like you shows a conflicted marriage, either them trying to keep it together or the process of being divorced. But I think this had. Again, I've never experienced divorce, but I think it had the most realistic feel as to what what that process really is like. And, Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver, they meshed together so well. Like, even though they conflicted a lot in the movie, you could tell the actors, they meshed together very well. And Scarlett Johansson, she was amazing. And so she had an amazing year, being in Jojo Rabbit, being in Marriage Story, being in Avengers Endgame. And so she had an amazing year. And so that one, it was a great movie, but not better than Jojo Rabbit, I think, fully, wholly. And so, but I didn't enjoy it, and the fact that it's on Netflix, I hope more people go out there or stay in and watch it.
I was a little had a little bit of trepidation watching it, only because I was so disappointed with the end of the last Star Wars film. I'm like, I don't want to see, this
Adam
actor
Driver
in another, disappointing
ruined
situation.
relationship.
But it was a great character piece, like, and it was very simple. It seemed like a low budget kind of thing. It was just these two people in limited, limited circumstances, but just this continuous story that felt like you said, just so tremendously realistic and believable, and it gets so intense, and it touches on everything that people can absolutely relate to. It was incredible. It was incredible. Scarlett Johansson, who I'm not normally a fan of, and you were very upset with me over that.
That's all right. Thank you, Jamie.
Yeah, I think she did a tremendous job. And I loved going on that roller coaster of emotion with these two actors, and I never felt like it was forced or overdone. So that would be like a high second for me. I think that anything that, moving on a little bit, I think anything that Leonardo DiCaprio is in is Oscar worthy. I think that he should have all the Oscars. But
he already has his one that he's been
he should
fighting
have at
forever
least more
for.
than
So
one.
he deserves more, but let's not get too greedy. No, but
Yeah,
but
I
speaking
think
about
that is Oscar worthy.
speaking about Leo, he is of course Oscar worthy again. He's nominated for Best Actor. Is he your pick for Best Actor? Because let's go down the list. So we have Antonio Banderas with Pain and Glory, Leonardo DiCaprio for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Adam Driver for Marriage Story. Again, we just mentioned how great he was. Joaquin Phoenix for Joker, and Jonathan Pryce for The Two Popes. And I haven't seen two of these five movies. I have not seen The Two Popes, and I have not seen Pain and Glory. So this is a little biased pick, as I mentioned, the popular vote pick. But yeah, so for me, it was between Leo, Adam, and Joaquin.
Leo, Adam, and Joaquin. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
I gotta say, Jonathan Pryce, I saw him in The Man Who Killed Don Quixote, and he was incredible in that. I have not seen The Two Popes, but of the bits and pieces that I have seen, just compelling stuff. Joaquin Phoenix, method actor. He always becomes the character. He's kind of terrifying in that way. But I had problems with the Joker film, just the premise of it, and we talked about this a little bit before, the creating kind of like, not compassion, but creating like an excuse almost for that kind of violent behavior, like, okay, yeah, you were, yeah, creating
Is that your
empathy
baby?
for a violent character, you know, I wasn't with that.
Now, you can't let your biases, again, like the
But
acting.
impacts his performance. The performance was incredible, but it was off-putting. But maybe that's what makes it great, is that it was uncomfortable and off-putting.
Yeah,
Can I tell you?
So go ahead.
Because my nomination for Best Actor is Joaquin Phoenix for Joker.
Yeah.
I loved Leo in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and it was a great character role, and of course in everything he's perfect. He practically played two characters: the guy on the small screen, and then the actor himself. And then Adam Driver, again, he's a great actor. In any movie he's been in, and in this Marriage Story is nothing different. But Joaquin Phoenix, he was able to transform, and when I first heard that they were making one Joker, a Joker movie by itself, I initially had like pause. I didn't really like the sound of that, and then when I heard that they cast Joaquin Phoenix, I thought, I cannot picture Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker. That's the last person I would ever picture to do it like that, and I was a little disappointed with the pick if they were going to make this movie. But after watching it, maybe just like Heath Ledger, when he had people raising questions against him and whether he was the right choice, Joaquin Phoenix blew me away, and I can't see that role going to anyone else in this movie. So Joaquin for me.
I think I'm gonna have to give you that. The more I think about it, so I might not be a personal fan of the Joker movie, but yeah, I think there's no doubting.
Who would have you picked if I didn't just convince you very eloquently?
I would go with my bias, and I would pick Adam Driver.
Yeah. No, he did do a great job though.
He did.
There's so many. No, sorry. There are so many movies where, again, I love movies when you're able to completely disappear into it and you don't see actors. There are plenty of movies where I see actors. Like unfortunately, I watched Harriet, based off Harriet Tubman. Unfortunately, I watched it, and when I was watching it, I realized I was watching actors. Great, good acting, but like I wasn't sucked into it. For Joker, for Marriage Story, Adam Driver's portrayal of this this husband who's breaking down. I believed it. I believed that he was really married to Scarlett Johansson. So not to knock Adam Driver or his capabilities, but I think Joaquin was just on another level.
Yeah. Well, that breakdown at the end of the movie, Marriage Story. Sorry, spoiler alert for a second, where they're yelling at each other, and it just builds and builds to this crescendo, and then he's like, I wish you were dead, and then he starts crying, and it was just, yeah, it was
great,
unbelievable. And coming from a place of a normal human being, the Joker, it's kind of like, it's a comic book, it's supposed to be big and crazy, but to create something so so painful from starting from a normal place of a normal guy with a normal life, and that brings real tears to your eyes. Like that really got me. So yeah, between Adam and Joaquin. So we'll see what happens there. What
Well,
about
I'll
actress?
say we're 2 for 2 so far.
Okay, all
I'll
right.
keep tally. We're 2 for 2.
Oh,
For
one and a
best.
half for two.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, 1.5 for 2. Best actress. We have Cynthia Erivo for Harriet. Again, really good actress. I just wasn't sucked into the movie itself. We have Scarlett Johansson back for Marriage Story. Saoirse Ronan for Little Women. Charlize Theron for Bombshell. And Renee Zellweger for Judy. And I haven't seen Judy or Bombshell. I have Bombshell, so I will see it soon, but I haven't seen that one. But I heard Renee Zellweger, she was fantastic in Judy. I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
Okay. I really want to see Bombshell.
Yeah.
I
I do have
haven't
the
seen
screener,
it
so
yet. It looks fun.
yeah, so we'll see it. But
And
yeah,
you'll
do you have
share?
yeah.
All
Do,
right.
do you have so of these movies, which ones have you seen?
I've seen Marriage
Marriage
Story.
Story. So, what do you think?
I've heard a lot of great things about Bombshell. I would love to see Charlize Theron's performance because that's kind of where I was leaning towards, just in what I've seen.
She looks just like
Otherwise, but
Megyn
it's
Kelly,
between
yeah.
Scarlett and Charlize for me.
For me, I'm gonna go with Scarlett Johansson for Marriage Story. Scarlett, again, as I mentioned with along with Adam Driver, I believed that she was really married to him, and these were real people having real life conversations and arguments and great times too, great moments as well. And I was sucked in immediately, and I believed it. And so I think she deserves Best Actress for
I think she did a really
Marriage
great job
Story.
in playing someone who's imperfect, not, who's not a bad person, but very, imperfect, and a counter to Adam Driver's role. And because in real life, you don't always communicate. You don't communicate correctly. You don't, and the other person doesn't know what's going on, and you're planning to screw them, and it snowballs into something you didn't really want, and because you don't speak up, and like I really identified with that character, and it was just perfectly imperfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, yeah, between Scarlett and Charlize, because I've heard good things about Charlize Theron, and I really want to see that one also.
All right. You want to go to Best Supporting Actor? Now, this one
Oh,
of
I know who
the
I
uh,
want.
of the 5 movies, I've only seen one.
Yeah.
But let's go down the list. So we have Tom Hanks for Mr. Rogers, or In the Neighborhood with Mr. Rogers. I forget the whole title. Anthony Hopkins, The Two Popes. Al Pacino, The Irishman. Joe Pesci, The Irishman, and Brad Pitt in Always Sunny, not Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Uh, what is it?
All
Once
right.
Upon a Time in
That's
Hollywood.
cool.
I know.
Good for them. Um, it's
The
Hanks,
Gang wins an
man. It's gotta
Oscar.
be Hanks.
Tom Hanks?
It's gotta be Hanks.
No, you did see that movie?
No.
Oh goodness! You what?
Don't ask me if I've seen things. I was pregnant.
Okay,
I
now
was
now
newborn. But I
now
think it's gonna be Hanks.
I love. Oh, you think who's gonna win it?
Yeah, I think
Now,
it's gonna be Hanks.
yeah, I could see that too. I mean, the only movie that I've seen is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So Brad Pitt, like he was a great supporting actor in that movie. But yeah, to be fair, I haven't seen The Irishman, so I'm sure I've heard great things of Joe Pesci. Again, him coming out of retirement to do this film, so I've heard great things. Again, but Tom Hanks, he's always a favorite. You can't go wrong with that.
You can't
With
go
T.
wrong.
Hanks,
You can't go wrong with Hanks, man.
yeah,
Mr. Rogers, unbelievable. He's just like Leonardo DiCaprio. Everything that he's in is Oscar worthy. He
yeah,
doesn't make bad movies.
yeah. That
He
is
doesn't
still on
play
the
bad
to-do
roles.
list.
Let's
Um,
see. All
Best
right.
supporting actress.
Best supporting actress. Oh, okay.
Now get this.
Go for it.
Sorry, so we'll go down the list, but I'll start with Laura Dern because Laura Dern, the great Laura Dern, she's nominated for Best Supporting Actress for Marriage Story. I thought she should have been nominated Best Supporting Actress for Little Women. She
Yeah.
she plays the mother, and she was amazing. She I mean, I'm sure she's a real mother in real life, but she felt like a real mother to these daughters, to these children, and so I thought she was really great. So I thought she should have been nominated for sure, but for a different movie, different category.
Oh, you sent
But
a write-in?
Yeah, I know. I do that. But can you go down the rest of the list?
Yeah, so we've got Kathy Bates for Richard Jewell, Laura Dern, Marriage Story, Scarlett Johansson, Jojo Rabbit, Florence Pugh for Little Women, and Margot Robbie in Bombshell. This is
Yes.
tough. This is really, really tough. But I would go Scarlett again for
I would
Jojo
go Scarlett
Rabbit.
Johansson also.
For Jojo
Um,
Rabbit. Yeah.
if I was in charge of the Oscars, so Scarlett would walk away with two Oscars, one for Best Actress and one for Best Supporting Actress. So I think that'd be a
That's
fair.
crazy.
That'd be amazing. But I thought she was fantastic in Jojo Rabbit. She was that she walked the line of being funny and comedic for her son, and then there are moments where things get serious when she's helping. Again, spoilers, but she's helping the. It's not really a spoiler, but she's helping the girl in her that she's hiding, and so you have that. I don't know. You get a wide range of emotions coming from Scarlett, and I thought she nailed it. This is her year to walk away with everything. I vote for her.
Yeah, yeah. So Scarlett walk away with everything. Best actress,
Please.
supporting actress, best movie, best just
Best
put her on a
person.
pedestal, walk her down the aisle. Yeah. Sounds good. It sounds good to
Sounds
me.
good.
Those are the main categories.
Now here's the last. I mean, I'm not sure if it's the last one, but the one of the last big ones, the best director.
Yes.
And so best directing. And so we have Martin Scorsese for The Irishman, Todd Phillips for Joker, Sam Mendes for 1917, Quentin Tarantino always getting nominated for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Bong Joon-ho for Parasite, which I recently saw, and Parasite was really, really good. Like I have my own little critiques, but overall, a great. I believe it's an original screenplay and great actors. And even though you're reading subtitles the whole time, you're following because this is, I think, a story that is not only timeless but crosses clearly multiple cultures and languages. So that's a great movie.
Tell
Um,
us a little bit about Parasite because I don't know much about that one, and I'll be.
so So Parasite takes place in South Korea. It's a family, and they live. I don't want to say the slums, but they live. Their lifestyle isn't the best right now, and so it begins when the son of the family gets this job tutoring for this very affluent family, and pretty much, I mean, kind of like how the movie suggests, or the title suggests. This family kind of it's basically two families, one from wealth and privilege, and another family from poverty, mixing with each other and meshing with each other. I don't want to give spoilers away, but it's I don't know, it's a great film. Again, not to give spoilers away, but it's two families from different backgrounds coming into each other without really knowing how, if that makes sense.
I'm always a fan of something new and original. So that's great. I'm sure
Yeah.
that's going to be in high contention. What are your picks? Best
So
director.
for best director, again, this one was a very tough one too. I was torn. Again, to be fair, I have not seen The Irishman, so I saw 4 of 5. But for me, it was between 1917 and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And after much debate, internal debate,
Much internal debate. James versus James.
yeah, the battle of the century. I had to finally go with Sam Mendes, best director for 1917, because just watching it, I mean, I'm sure you know, and from every interview that's been out there, it's shot to look like it's one continuous shot, and so there are so many long scenes, long drawn out, intense scenes where there's one mistake. You may have to restart the whole thing again, or if you do make a mistake, you roll with the punches and you keep going. And I thought for something on such a grand scale, the directing there had to be a strong director at the helm, and I feel like Sam Mendes nailed it. And I hope he walks away with the Oscar for this one.
Take down Quentin, take down Martin Scorsese, Sam
Yeah,
Mendes.
Sam Mendes. And so yeah, so I liked it a lot. So
Well,
that's my pick.
if it's not Sam Mendes, which I think I agree with your assessment there, but if it's not him, uh, my guess is going to be Quentin Tarantino, just based on the way that the film has been performing in other award shows, that seems to be a Hollywood favorite because Hollywood loves talking about Hollywood, James.
Yeah, they do.
It's a little bit of a vain business. So,
No. Hollywood?
no,
No.
no, not at all. But Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I think, may take it all if 1917 doesn't.
Yeah. Lastly, I mean, I think we've hit the big stars, the big attractions for the Oscars. I just added original screenplay. I think Quentin Tarantino, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Again, there's so many good things about the movie, but at the end of the day, there were so many other great films that came out that it's very tough. Best animated film. I only wrote down Toy Story 4 because that's the only one I saw, but I stand by it. Toy Story 4. When I heard, kind of like with Joker, when I heard they're making a fourth Toy Story after what I thought was a fantastic ending in Toy Story 3, I thought, oh, this is just a money grab. They're ruining my. I didn't really think that, but I didn't think they're ruining my childhood. But I thought, I don't like that they're making a fourth one. However, they've been 3 for 3 so far, and every movie, every Toy Story movie was better than the last. And so I figured, you know what? I'll go in open-minded. And Toy Story 4 did what I thought they couldn't do, and they made another great Toy Story film with a great story, great additional cast members, a great direction. I'm not sure if they should make a fifth one, but if they did, I'm gonna have to say, okay, let's watch it. You've done great so far.
They're 4 for 4. They're 4 for 4, and
Yeah,
it was a very different tone in this movie. It was about moving on. It was about Woody becoming obsolete
a
as a
lot of
toy
growing,
and
a
having
lot of
to
growth.
find something else for himself and moving on and growing up. And it was kind of depressing, but then, he finds his way. And it's about growing up, letting go, evolving, changing. Great adult themes that they somehow managed to, plug into these movies and make it heartfelt and wonderful. But I was a big fan of How to Train Your Dragon,
You know
the
what?
last How to Train Your Dragon film. Saw it
Yeah,
twice.
that those films not only did they get nominated for like best visual effects or best animation. Yeah, I saw the first one and I loved it. I didn't keep track of is this the third or fourth one? Because I guess this may be the third one.
I think it's the
The fourth?
third. It's the
Third?
third.
Well, for each one, again, I've only seen the first one, but each film, I lied. I've seen the last one too, and they're both great. They just get better and better, the story wise. I haven't seen the last one, but
This one just had like really great Raylo vibes.
is
Between the
this what
white
you
dragon
wanted Star
and the
Wars
black
to
dragon.
be?
Huh?
Is this what you wanted Star Wars to be?
Yes, this is exactly what I wanted Star Wars to be. This is the ending that I wanted with their little baby dragons and their little, No, it was great though. It was a very well told story. It kept my son's attention, my
Yeah.
4-year-old son, and it was a great adventure with a happy ending. And I'm not gonna. It's not as deep as Toy Story 4, but it was very entertaining and adventurous and easy to follow. And so, for an animated film, I give it many kudos.
Many
And it
baby
helped
pats.
soothe my Raylo heart, huh?
You give him many pats, baby
I give it
pats.
many pats. I give it many
Aw.
pats. Mwah. Anything that ends with babies.
So before the Oscars come out, or there's still more. I mean, the Oscars is the culmination, but yeah, still on my list. The Irishman, Bombshell. So that I still need to see. What else? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I didn't include this also. Best cinematography. Just wrapping the show up, guys, soon. But cinematography, I went with The Lighthouse.
Lighthouse,
The
yes.
Lighthouse. Yeah. So
I think that's a
I hope
shoe
that
in.
wins.
That's a shoe in. Tell if people haven't seen The Lighthouse. That's the one that's done. It's like a little screen and it's all black and white.
Yeah, with Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, and it's about these two lighthouse workers, and insanity ensues. But it's a great film. Again, that's another film that I could have imagined being nominated for Best Picture, one of those artsy films. Which, if it did pop up on this list, I would not have been surprised or disappointed. But again, great year for films in general. But the way it was shot, again, black and white. smaller screen ratio and what they had to work with. Because again, not only are the actors working in a smaller space, or visually, they are working in a smaller space when you take into like the camera into account. And so cinematography, I'm hoping for The Lighthouse. But those are my picks. What are your picks? What do you think should be Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Actress? Should Scarlett Johansson walk away with everything? I think so.
Should she share at least?
No, she deserves it all and more. But please let us know. We are the Hub on Hollywood. You can find us on our Twitter, on Instagram, at Hub on Hollywood. If you're not watching us, you can listen to us. Where can they listen to us, Jamie?
They can listen to us on iHeartMedia, Spotify, anywhere that major podcasts are heard. You can download us, look us up at Hub on Hollywood. We're there. We're waiting for you.
Yeah, and if you're listening, we're also on YouTube, so you can watch our beautiful faces and Jamie's beautiful baby.
Yeah.
Be careful.
Moment. Yeah. So. She says, "Please subscribe to Mommy's podcast."
She says, "Please smash that like button."
Oh, all right, and watch the Oscars. Let us know
And
what
watch
you
the
like.
Oscars.
And
Who gets robbed? Who deserves the Oscar? Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much. Well, this was the Hub on Hollywood. I'm James.
I'm Jamie. We'll see
Yeah.
you next time.
All right.